She was always a thorn in my side, to be very honest. She was very difficult, very meddlesome, very controlling, and I never liked her.
I would prefer to call her a monster. I'm just glad that she's put away and she can't do harm to anybody else.
As you've witnessed, the parents of a West Bloomfield teenager who was shot to death by his own grandmother are pleased with her second-degree murder conviction, but family dynamics did play a role here. Jonathan Hoffman was left to live with his elderly grandparents to finish his senior year in high school, while his divorced parents were in Arizona. Now, according to a 2000 census report, 42% of grandparents were caring for grandchildren younger than 18. That's 2.4 million, 39% for 5 years or more. Now, joining us now live in our studio is Dr. Sandra Lyness, a family psychologist. Thank you so much for coming in tonight to talk to us.
Thank you, Carol.
So first, what's your reaction to the response of the parents to this guilty verdict?
I am sure that they are having mixed emotions of all kinds. Most of all, though, there's got to be a little guilt in there. And anger is a mask for guilt. So they're very angry. They're angry at her, and I'm afraid they might be angry at themselves.
How do you choose to leave your child with a grandparent if you have these feelings, if you're feeling angry?
I don't know if they remembered what their childhood was like. What they knew was they were desperate. They needed to have him stay because he wanted to stay. And they trusted the mother. The problem was that they forgot perhaps what she was like with them when they were teenagers.
Now, Sandra Lane, 75, her husband, 87. Is that too old to take care of a teenager, especially a teenager with drug problems? She talked about him being on K2. She talked about her being afraid of him.
Right. She was a teacher originally, so she has some background. I don't know if it's too old, but the question is, was she the right one to have a teenage boy? And if she was frightened of him, again, she may have overreacted. I'm not sure. In retrospect, she was a good choice. I don't think it's age. I think it's who you choose.
At what point do you raise the red flag and say, I cannot do this, this young man has to go back home? Or when do you reach out to authorities for help?
I think you look for moodiness, you look for ups and downs, you look for a child whose anger is irrational, you look for someone who is very frightened and handles it by accusing you. And then you have to say, can I do this? Either get help for yourself on how to handle it or find an alternative place for this child, because the most important is the child needs to be safe, even from himself.
Absolutely, and I'm sure you'd say never go out and buy a gun.
I think I would.
Thank you so much for your time tonight. We certainly appreciate it. And you can watch the entire jury verdict and our reports on the sentencing of Sandra Lane on the homepage of our website at WXYZ.com. Stephen?
Certainly a lot going on in that story. A robber feeling remorse for his